Morning fellas, welcome back to the channel. First of all, as you can see, it's actually a nice day, no rain for once. Quite a good video for today really, well, a few videos probably. Timing belt, wet belt snapped on a Transit Connect, the 1.8 Lynx engine. Now I've already done a bit of work, I started on it last night just to confirm the fault. I'm just going to carry on stripping it today, but obviously I'll put that video on first if you will. So yeah, I could just put an engine in it, put a full lump in it, you know, which should be fine, but I'm going to try and repair it, providing it's not damaged the pistons, which, you know, there's a slim chance, but if the pistons look alright and it's just a case of replacing the belts, maybe do a chain conversion on it and just replace the valves, then I'll go with that. So yeah, so again, thanks for watching, but I'll carry on now and you see the repair.
So first off guys, I removed the intercooler and the intercooler pipes, which is just on top of the engine. These are pretty easy to come off. As you can see, I was struggling with this one quite a bit, so all I do is I just use a screwdriver just to break the seal on the rubber pipe. Be careful not to obviously puncture the pipe. As you can see, it comes off alright. The next thing I want to do, with it being a possible timing chain or timing belt issue, is remove the rocker cover to see if any of the cams or the rockers are damaged. So the first thing I do is remove all the wiring as best I can to make it easier to get the rocker off. So with all the wiring out the way, there's just a few fuel pipes that go over the top of the rocker, and then there's some air pipes that go into it, some breathers. So once I can remove them, I think there's just a few 8mm, and then the rocker comes off. And with the rocker cover off, I can inspect the cams once I remove the little cover, and I can see that there's no cams are damaged, no rockers are damaged, everything at the top end looks okay. With any job like this, I normally work in an order. So first of all, I will inspect the timing belt side, see if it has snapped, if it's worn, or if it has jumped. So first of all, I'll remove the coolant bottle, then the power steering bottle, and then I'll jack the engine up and take the engine mount off to give me a bit more room to take the top timing belt off, which in this case was fine. the idlers, the fan belt, just to access the timing cover for the bottom of the wet belt. The bolts for this are quite easy to access. Now removing the bottom timing cover. I couldn't believe it when I saw, but as you'll see in a moment, the belt was actually intact, it wasn't snapped. But as you can see, and I'll show you a close-up at the minute, but the teeth are actually worn off, so as you can see on the bottom there, the teeth have actually gone smooth and worn, but on the top, the teeth are still intact. So that being the case, the crank is obviously just spun. So now I need to continue to remove the head and see the damage. So now I know that the head needs to come off. I work my way. When I do a job like this, normally I work in a way where I just look at each side at once. So I start off on this one at the front. So I'll remove sort of the fuel rail. There is a back pump on, but I couldn't actually get one of the bolts out, so I'll just take that off with the head. There were a bracket on there. There weren't that much on the front, to be honest with you. So once I've done that, then I'll move my way around to the side. Normally on the side, you've normally got a coolant or like a thermostat housing. In this case, it was literally just like I'm not sure what it was, like a thermostat housing. It had one bolt, just attaching it to the side of the head. And as you can see as well, I remove all the wires that I can just to make as much room as possible. Now you can see the airbox has just come out. I can now start on the rear of the engine, and at the back there is the EGR cooler, the EGR, the exhaust manifold and the turbo as well. So you can see here I'm just taking off a few pipes that are on the EGR. The EGR there is the silver thing you can see at the top of the engine, but the manifold itself actually blocks this, so you have to remove the manifold first to get the EGR off, which is a bit stupid really, because it's, you know, a bit time consuming. But what I ended up doing is leaving the exhaust and the turbo on the car, removing the turbo from the manifold and removing the manifold just as itself, and then taking off the EGR. Overall it wasn't too bad. Everything came off alright. I just had to go underneath to remove the bracket that held the exhaust onto the block. But again, that weren't too bad. I think they were just like 3 13mm bolts. As you can see now with the EGR off, there's loads of room at the back. You can see the turbo, and then onto the downpipe, and you can just about see the rest of the exhaust. So that'll stay there when I remove the head, and the next thing is to get the head bolts out and lift the head off. Ratchet, just to be careful not to snap the socket. Now I've removed all the head bolts. As you can see, I'll lift it off now. Honestly, this head was so heavy, I couldn't believe it. For the size of it and it only being like 8 valves, it was solid. But you'll see in a minute, you can just about see some damage on top of the pistons there. So as you can see there, the valves, every single one of them's damaged. Obviously, some of them are a lot worse than others, but they are all damaged, so they all would need replacing if it were going to be repaired. And as you can see on the top of the piston crowns, they're damaged as well. So I think the most cost-effective job really for this now is probably a complete engine. But I'll speak to them and see what they want. As you can see, guys, the van is in desperate need of a replacement engine. So when you get onto that, we'll get that ordered, and then that'll be for the next video. It's just not cost-effective to repair it, I don't think, at this stage, because obviously I can put pistons in it, but then the crank, I mean, it's probably not damaged the crank or anything, but obviously you need bearings, and for the price of all that, you'd probably be able to get a decent second-hand engine, so we'll go down that route, I think. So guys, hit the like button, please hit the subscribe button. Like I said, we'll catch you in the next one. Hopefully we're banging an engine in the transit, so hit that like button, boys.